Chapter 3895. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others slowly walked towards their residence. Today, they had just returned to Penglai Palace and had already dealt with two big opponents. It was really very satisfying. Beichen, why didn't you kill Duan Huali directly? Bailey Hongzhuang turned her head and looked at Di Beichen's perfect side profile. She couldn't help but ask. Di Beichen glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang, and the corners of his mouth slowly raised into a smile. In fact, if I kept him alive, he would be in more pain. Why? Shangguan Yingying also asked curiously. It wasn't until Chu Yunyao was about to die that he realized that the person he liked the most was Chu Yunyao. Unfortunately, there was no chance to keep her. Presumably, he should be deeply regretting his wrong choice now. Since he was originally not a fickle person, he would definitely be in incomparable pain now that he has come to his senses. To him, death is actually a kind of relief, Ren Ziheng suddenly said. Junior brother Di, am I right? Di Beichen nodded, yes. Do you want Duan Huali to be immersed in pain, so you didn't take his life? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. He has done so many wrong things. If I let him die so easily, wouldn't it be too easy for him? Di Beichen asked. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head and sighed. Beichen, you are really too two-faced. I thought you felt that Duan Huali was a little pitiful, so you left him alive. Di Beichen chuckled. If I really felt that he was pitiful, then I wouldn't have destroyed his cultivation. In this way, he might still be able to walk together with Chu Yunshang in the end. Crippling his cultivation is the same as completely destroying all his hopes. That's the most painful thing. He didn't care what reason Duan Huali had for coveting Bailey Hongzhuang. As far as he was concerned, he wouldn't let go of anyone who had crooked thoughts about Bailey Hongzhuang. What's more, Duan Huali wanted to take their lives, but he didn't succeed. For such a guy, no matter how pitiful he was, he would not sympathize with him. Beichen, I really admire you more and more recently. Ziren couldn't help but sigh. But you are right, a guy like him should be punished. In my opinion, I'm afraid that Duan Huali won't live for long. Mo Yunjue said slowly. Listening to Mo's words, the crowd couldn't help but be a little surprised. Junior brother Mo, why would you say that? Ren Zimei asked. Zest Ju kill him. With his life. Chu Jinfeng nodded. As long as it's a cultivator of our level, once their cultivation is crippled, most of them won't want to live anymore. Moreover, after receiving such a blow from Chu Yunyao, the possibility of him committing suicide is not small. It's good that he's dead. This way, we can give an explanation to those cultivators who died in their hands for no reason. Ren Ziheng said, forget it. Now that this matter has been resolved, there's no need to affect our good mood. Chu Jinfeng's face revealed a smile. You guys just came back today, so we have to celebrate for you guys. At the same time, tell us about the interesting things about the Demon Refining Tower, and let us experience it. Chapter 3896. After the death of Chu Yunyao, the combat power of Bailey Hongzhuang and others quickly spread in the Penglai Palace. With this kind of combat power, their team was already considered an extremely tyrannical existence in the Penglai Palace. A few days later, as everyone guessed, Duan Huali committed suicide after Chu Yunyao was buried. After he died, it was Chu Yunshang who buried him with Chu Yunyao. They couldn't be together when they were alive, but at least they could be together after death. After this news came out, the cultivators in the Penglai Palace all sighed. They suddenly felt that it was extremely difficult to meet a lover. On the contrary, it facilitated many lovers in the palace to be together. On this day, Bailey Hongzhuang and others went to Long Yanwei's residence together, because today was the day Mo Yunjue chose a contract beast. When they arrived, as expected, not only Long Yanwei was there, but Zihua was also there. Minter E, why are you so free every day? When Ziren couldn't help but tease. Every time we come to find Master Long, you seem to be here. Hearing this, Zihua frowned. What? You stinking brat dare to have a problem with me? How dare I? When Ziren quickly waved his hand. Knowing that Minter E is so concerned about us, we can't be happier. In this way, in addition to Master Long, there is also Mentor E as a pillar. You are such a smooth talker. Easy Hua pretended to be helpless, but a smile appeared in his eyes. At first, he really didn't care much about these guys, but as he gradually became familiar with them, he became more and more optimistic about these little guys. Now, Deep Beichun, Bailey Hongzhuang, and Mo Yunjue have all become Star Realm cultivators, and their future is really limitless. Although Xiren and Shangguan Yingying's cultivation is a little worse, it should only be a matter of time. After all, their cultivation talent is there. You little fellows really can't stop once you come back. Long Yanwei helplessly looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Although he already knew that there was a huge conflict between Bailey Hongzhuang and Chu Yunyao, he did not expect that even Duan Huali would be involved in this matter. It wasn't easy for them to recruit an Astral Radiance Realm cultivator, but they didn't expect to lose a rank 2 Astral Radiance Realm Duan Huali in the blink of an eye. He felt very helpless about this. Any cultivator in the Starlight Realm was a top-notch cultivator in the Penglai Palace. The death of even one person was a great loss to the Penglai Palace. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Lord Long, this matter should be within your expectations. If there is hatred, then there is hatred. If there is hatred, then there is hatred. Alas, Long Yanwei sighed. I know that you guys are the ones who don't stop. As soon as you came back, you made such a big commotion. After the palace master knew about it, he specially came over to ask me. What did the palace master say? Shangguan Yingying quickly asked. I have already spoken to the palace master, but in the future, you guys should calm down a little. No matter which force it is, a Star Realm cultivator is an important resource. It can't withstand your torment. And, Lord Long, don't worry. We are not people who like to cause trouble. It's just that some people deliberately came to find trouble with us, so we took action. Chapter 3897. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Long Yanwei and Ez Hua could not help but look at each other, and the helplessness in their hearts grew stronger. They naturally heard that Bailey Hongzhuang's words were a little reserved. If others did not come to find trouble, they would not take action. If others came to find trouble, they would not be polite. The most important thing was that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others seemed to be born with the constitution of attracting trouble. Since they entered the Penglai Palace, they had been in constant trouble. The most important thing was that they did not take the initiative to find trouble every time. In this regard, they were really helpless. They still remembered that a few days ago, after knowing that Chu Yunyao and Duan Huali were both dead, they had specially discussed this matter. Yanwei, do you think the reason why Bailey Hongzhuang and the others can improve their cultivation so quickly is because they have been encountering all kinds of trouble? If their cultivation speed is not fast enough, they would have died long ago. Izihua sighed. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the others first came to the Penglai Palace, they caused a lot of trouble in the outer hall. Fortunately, their lives were saved and their strength was improved again. Unexpectedly, not long after peace, they caused trouble again that day. Chu Yunyao's cultivation was far superior to theirs. They were lucky to escape from Chu Yunyao's hands and went to the Demon Training Tower. Now that their cultivation had improved again, they defeated Chu Yunyao and successfully took revenge. If they had not improved fast enough, then they would have really died in the hands of Chu Yunyao and the others. I don't know either. Long Yanwei shook his head. However, the luck of these few little fellows is quite good. Although they suffer great trouble every time, in the end, they are able to turn danger into safety and instead become successful. I have stayed in the Penglai Palace for a long time. I have seen a lot of cultivators, but I have to admit that these little guys are indeed talented. Coupled with this excellent luck, it is amazing that they can reach this step. I hope their good luck can continue like this. It's precisely because of this sense of urgency that they don't slack off in their cultivation. Therefore, I don't know whether it's good or bad to always attract trouble. If it weren't for these troubles, maybe their cultivation wouldn't have improved so quickly. Maybe this is the arrangement of God. What a few amazing little fellows. Seeing that Long Yanwei was deep in thought, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but ask, "Lord Long, what are you thinking about?" Hearing this, Long Yanwei came back to his senses and shook his head. "It's nothing. I wonder if Master Long has any good contracted beasts. Can you introduce them to me?" When Xiren asked with a smile. "Don't tell me you want to take away my best contract beast?" Long Yanwei asked. Xiren smiled brightly. "Master Long, haven't you always said that you want to find the best master for your contracted beast? Mo Yunjue is a very powerful cultivator. I'm afraid you won't find many people as outstanding as him in Penglai Palace. He definitely won't disgrace your contract beast. You found a good master. Only you know how to talk." Long Yanwei glared at Xiren and then looked at Mo Yunjue with a smile. "I do have a few good contract beasts here. I'll introduce them to you later. You can choose your favorite." Hearing this, Mo Yunjue cupped his hands to Long Yanwei and said, "Thank you, Lord Long." Chapter 3898. Now that you've joined Penglai Palace, you're one of us. Long Yanwei smiled and patted Mo Yunjue's shoulder. "I'm very optimistic about you." Although he didn't know much about Mo Yunjue's fighting strength, he was able to reach the second Order Star rank at such a young age, which proved that his potential was very terrifying. "Yunjue, since Master Long said so, your contract beast must not be bad," Bewitching suddenly said with a smile. They had known Long Yanwei for so long, so they naturally knew about Long Yanwei. Long Yanwei was very kind and would definitely not treat Mo Yunjue unfairly. Next, Long Yanwei introduced several contract beasts to Mo Yunjue. They were all the most popular contract beasts among cultivators and were very precious. After Mo Yunjue understood the various characteristics of these contract beasts, his face couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. When he was in the outside world, he didn't choose his own contract beast because he had enough confidence in his own strength. Generally, contract beasts with low growth rate would not be of any help to him. On the contrary, it would only be a waste of energy. He didn't expect that after coming to Penglai Palace, he would have the opportunity to obtain a contract beast of this grade. Penglai Palace's resources really couldn't be compared to the outside world. While Mo Yunjue was choosing his contract beast, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others stayed outside. Everyone had their own contract beast that they liked. Whether it was suitable or not, they had to choose it themselves. They didn't know much about contract beasts and couldn't help much. However, they didn't need to worry at all. Master Long had a deep understanding of contract beasts and also knew what kind of cultivator was most suitable for which contract beast. They believed that Master Long would definitely help Long Yanwei choose the most suitable contract beast. After Mo Yunjue and Long Yanwei went in to choose their contract beasts, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others sat down outside. At this time, Izihua suddenly placed a Qingquan bag in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but be surprised. "Instructor E, this is your share of the healing medicine." Izihua smiled. "I knew you guys were coming over today, so I brought it over." "I see." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and took the Qingquan bag. "Thank you for making this trip, Mentor. Now you know that I'm not that free, right?" Izihua chuckled, his gaze involuntarily turning towards Xiren, who was not far away. Seeing this, Xiren hurriedly said, "Instructor E, I said the wrong thing just now. Please don't hold it against me. It's good that you know." Izihua nodded, revealing a satisfied expression. "Hongzhuang, quickly take a look and see how many spirit stones we have." Shangwan Ying came to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. It was said that the sales of this healing medicine were excellent. Even if so many doctors in Penglai Palace made it together, there was still a situation where it was sold out. Now, all the forces in Penglai Island were buying this healing medicine. The degree of popularity was very shocking just by listening to it. Bailey Hongzhuang was able to get 30% of it, so the number of spirit stones must be very shocking. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and opened the Qingquan bag. When she saw the number of spirit stones inside, her eyes couldn't help but reveal a look of surprise. Chapter 3899. Wow, so many spiritual stones. Shangguan Yingying could not help but exclaim. The Chinkoan pouch was filled with spiritual stones. The amount was truly shocking. Seeing Shangguan Yingying's shocked expression, Yizihua could not help but chuckle. Hong Zhuang is the wealthiest person among us all. You'll have a steady stream of income in the future. Who knows how many people will be jealous of you? For cultivators, spiritual stones were unavoidable if they wanted to increase their cultivation. Spiritual stones could greatly increase a cultivator's cultivation speed. Otherwise, at their level, if they did not use spiritual stones and relied purely on the yuan qi they absorbed from the world, who knew how long it would take for them to increase their cultivation by one level. However, it was not easy for ordinary cultivators to obtain spiritual stones. Unless they made some transactions or completed some extra missions for the Penlai Palace, the cultivation resources they received every month were not enough for cultivation. In comparison, Bailey Hongzhuang had superb medical skills. Clearly, she did not need to worry about spiritual stones. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled as a complicated light flashed through her eyes. There were probably very few people who knew about this. Otherwise, with such a large amount of money, she would have become a delicious piece of cake in everyone's eyes. Everyone would want to rob her. This is our Hong Zhuang's ability. Shangguan Yingying placed her hands on Bailey Hongzhuang's shoulders. Her face was filled with pride. Not everyone has such amazing medical skills as Hong Zhuang. Yizihua nodded his head. Regarding this point, he also admired Bailey Hongzhuang. She had only gone to an inner palace disciples training ground once. Yet she was able to concoct such an effective healing medicine for dark energy. It was truly remarkable. Right now, the people from the 100 Flowers Gate are the most curious about you. They have already sent people to negotiate with the palace master many times, wanting to meet you. Yizihua suddenly thought of this and could not help but speak. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows when she heard that. Actually, she did not have a bad impression of the 100 Flowers Gate. Back then, the people from the 100 Flowers Gate had invited her to take a look. However, the 100 Flowers Gate was not suitable for others, so she did not plan on joining. After all, she was the only doctor in their group. The others wouldn't be able to develop well in the 100 Flowers Gate. You are now the treasure of our Penlai Palace. Many forces want to meet you. There are countless people who want to poach you. Yizihua smiled faintly. However, these people were all rejected by the palace master. After all, it wasn't easy to recruit you back. We can't let others take advantage of this opportunity. When these words were spoken, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could not help but chuckle. Yizihua had described the palace master to such an extent. Teacher, according to what you said, Hongzhuang is the treasure of the Penlai Palace. Then you have to be our powerful backer. Xiren joked. Yizihua glanced at Xiren. What? Could it be that you are not satisfied with me and Master Long as your backers? If you ask me, there aren't many newcomers in the Penlai Palace who can cause as much trouble as you. If it were anyone else, they would have already been punished. However, you guys have always been fine. Chapter 3900. Listening to Yizihua's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others all smiled and nodded. Mentor Yi, I was wrong. You and Master Long have always been very concerned about us. We have always kept this in mind. Xiren said with a smile. In fact, only Master Xiao Long and Mentor Yi had always been very good to them. Thinking back to when they killed their opponents in front of Master Long and Mentor Yi, if it were other cultivators, they would definitely be punished to a certain extent, or at least they would be unhappy. However, Master Long and Mentor Yi did not have the slightest dissatisfaction because of this. On the contrary, they showed a strong attitude and said that they would stand behind them. It was because of this that the number of cultivators who came to find trouble with them decreased a lot. Otherwise, with just their attractiveness, who knows how many cultivators would be attracted? Kid, you still have some conscience. Yizihua showed a satisfied expression. Thinking back to when Long Yanwei took great care of Bailey Hongzhuang's people, he was a little puzzled. However, as he gradually became familiar with Bailey Hongzhuang's people, he became more and more fond of these little guys. The most important thing was that these little guys never let them down. Not only did their strength improve very quickly, Bailey Hongzhuang also developed a healing medicine that had a great effect on Penglai Palace. Thinking back to when Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were cultivators with great potential in their eyes, it was needless to say now. Minter, according to what you said, Hongzhuang is now a delicious cake in the eyes of other forces. Shangguan Yingying's eyes flashed with excitement. Although this matter had nothing to do with her, knowing that Bailey Hongzhuang was so valuable and was valued by so many forces, she also felt happy. Yizihua nodded. Yes, you have to be careful when you go out now. I'm really afraid that some people will directly kidnap you by hook or by crook. As this healing medicine was sold on Penglai Island, everyone became more aware of the effects of this healing medicine, which immediately attracted many people's jealousy. Ordinary forces naturally could not pay such a price to poach Bailey Hongzhuang, so there was no lack of people who had some other thoughts. This was also one of the reasons why he and Long Yanwei insisted on coming back with Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Minter, don't worry about this. We will be fine. Xiren's face showed a smile. However, if someone offers Hongzhuang very good conditions, what will you do? Hearing this, he frowned, and a look of contemplation flashed in his eyes. Do you think Hongzhuang is as ungrateful as you? I believe that Hongzhuang will definitely not leave Penglai Palace because of other conditions. Speaking of this, Yizihua seemed extremely confident. Since the moment Bailey Hongzhuang chose to give the right to dispose of the healing medicine to Long Yanwei, he knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was a person who valued friendship and righteousness. She would never betray Penglai Palace and Long Yanwei for some benefits. He could rest assured about this. In fact, Palace Master Bai Tsangming was also worried about this matter before. He even thought about whether he should personally talk to Bailey Hongzhuang. After all, Bailey Hongzhuang's value was different from before. As long as she was willing to join other forces, they would be willing to pay any price. However, he and Long Yanwei still refused. Chapter 3901. Hongzhuang, am I right? Yizihua asked aloud. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded with a faint smile, her eyes sincere and serious. Minter, you are right. I will not leave Penglai Palace. In the entire Penglai Island, Penglai Palace was second to none. What's more, Penglai Palace's conditions for inviting them were already very generous. If it were other forces, it was absolutely impossible to offer such conditions. Most importantly, they received great kindness from Master Long. No matter what, they would not let Master Long down. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's answer, the smile on Yizihua's face widened a little, and he said with satisfaction, I knew you would say this. It seems that my judgment and Yanwei's judgment were not wrong. Master Long, although your judgment of Hongzhuang is right, your judgment of me is wrong. When Xiren said aloud, What do you mean? Hongzhuang is naturally not a person who forgets friendship, but neither am I. Although you always have some misunderstandings about me, I have always liked you very much. Xiren's face was filled with a smile. Although he usually liked to joke with Yizihua, what he said was also the truth. Come on, you stinking brat. I think you are the most shrewd among all of us. Just as everyone was chatting, there was suddenly a movement inside. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but look inside. It should be Mo Yunjue who chose his contract beast. Soon, Long Yanwei and Mo Yunjue slowly walked out from inside. Yunjue, what contract beast did you choose? Bailey Hongzhuang asked first. Long Yanwei had many contract beasts, and there was no lack of powerful contract beasts. They had already seen this before, but they didn't know what kind of contract beast Mo Yunjue was suitable for. Looking at Master Long's expression, I know that you did not treat Mo Yunjue badly. Quickly tell us what kind of contract beast it is so that we can see it. Everyone had the same look of interest. Mo Yunjue had always been a genius, so his contracted beast must be extraordinary as well. Seeing everyone's curious expressions, Mo Yunjue could not help but glance at Long Yanwei beside him. Long Yanwei smiled and said, "Since they are so curious, you should tell them." Hearing this, Mo Yunjue nodded and smiled. "My contracted beast is the darkness magic fox." Dark magic fox. Shangguan Ying frowned. She had never heard of this contract beast before. What kind of contract beast was it? However, raccoons didn't seem to be very powerful. With Mo Yunjue's strength, wasn't this contract beast mistreating him? After Bailey Hong Zhuang and Di Beichen heard about the dark magic fox, their eyes couldn't help but change a little. As far as they knew, the dark magic fox was an extremely rare demonic beast. Normally, it was very difficult to see this demon beast, and it was even rarer to have it as a contract beast. Mo Yunjue nodded. "That's right, it's the dark magic fox." According to what I know, the dark magic fox's body is pitch black, and it's extremely fast. It's used for sneak attacks, and it's often hard to guard against. Its claws and teeth are sharp, and it moves silently. Many people have described it as the killer of demon beasts. Di Beichun slowly said. Chapter 3902. The dark magic fox was rarely seen, but its strength was extremely tyrannical and its speed was extremely fast. Even if an ordinary cultivator encountered it, they might not be able to see it clearly. Long Yanwei slowly spoke, introducing the characteristics of the dark magic fox. Although the dark magic fox was a type of civet cat, it was relatively small in size, but its fighting strength was extremely terrifying. Most importantly, the dark magic fox also had a bewitching characteristic. Many people who encountered the dark magic fox were bewitched by it. Therefore, it was extremely difficult to capture the dark magic fox. Hearing Long Yanwei's introduction, when Xiren's eyes couldn't help but reveal a trace of doubt. Bewitching characteristic? In the past, he had never understood the contract beasts of civet cats. In his opinion, most of the beasts were tall and mighty. He had never paid much attention to contract beasts that were relatively small in size. That's right, any cultivator who was targeted by the dark magic fox would be bewitched by it as long as they looked into its eyes. Their mind would be temporarily blank. At this time, Instructor Izihua added, "It is precisely because the dark magic fox has such a special characteristic that it is extremely difficult to capture it. Although its reputation isn't as famous as other contract beasts, its fighting strength is extremely powerful and can't be ignored." Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with amazement. She didn't expect that Mo Yunjue would choose the dark magic fox as his contract beast. However, after knowing this, she felt that the characteristics of the dark magic fox were very compatible with Mo Yunjue. This man and beast were used to walking in the darkness. They were the sharp blades of the night. The dark magic fox had such a special characteristic, it could be said to be a great weapon in battle. It was very difficult to break through. I didn't expect the dark magic fox to be so powerful. I was ignorant in the past. Shangguan Ying sighed. If during battle, the dark magic fox's bewitching will cause the opponent's mind to go blank, wouldn't it give us a great opportunity? Therefore, cultivators who have contracted beasts like the dark magic fox are extremely terrifying. Long Yanwei revealed a smile. Previously, in order to capture this dark magic fox, I spent a lot of effort. Fortunately, I succeeded in capturing it in the end. I didn't expect Mo Yunjue to have such good eyesight at such a young age. He picked one of my precious contracted beasts, the dark magic fox. You must know that there were many cultivators who were interested in it and asked me for it for a long time, but I didn't agree to it. However, since I've already promised to let you choose as you wish, I naturally won't go back on my words. Thank you, Master Long. Mo Yunjue cupped his hands, his eyes filled with gratitude. Ever since he found out about the characteristics of the dark magic fox, he knew how precious this contracted beast was. What Long Yanwei said was definitely not an exaggeration, and being able to obtain this contracted beast made him extremely happy. Although Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had told him before that if he came to Lord Long, he would definitely be able to choose a contract beast that he liked, In fact, he did not have much hope because even he himself had not thought about what kind of contract beast was suitable for him. Chapter 3903. You're welcome. This is what I promised to give you. Long Yanwei smiled faintly. When Xiren is right. As a contract master, I sealed so many contract beasts in order to help these contract beasts find a good master. You're so young, and your cultivation is so high. It can be said that your potential is limitless. It's great that this dark magic fox has a master like you. I found a good home for it. Long Yanwei's face showed a satisfied expression, although he didn't know Mo Yunjue's strength for a long time. Mo Yunjue was the inheritor of the Devil Training Tower. His strength was definitely not bad. Moreover, birds of a feather flocked together. Since Mo Yunjue could become good friends with Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, it proved that his character was not bad. Therefore, he was very satisfied with Mo Yunjue. I'll take good care of it. Mo Yunjue's eyes flashed with a bright light. From the moment he saw the dark magic fox, he knew that the dark magic fox will be his best partner from now on. I believe in you. Long Yanwei replied with a smile. After Mo Yunjue successfully obtained a contract beast, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others did not continue to stay here and return to their residence. The matter of Mo Yunjue obtaining a contract beast was not a secret in the Penglai Palace. Everyone knew that the Penglai Palace's condition for recruiting Mo Yunjue was a contract beast. Not only that, although Mo Yunjue had just joined the Penglai Palace, because of his strength, he was directly promoted to an inner palace disciple. He did not even need to participate in the assessment. The residence arranged for him was near Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. This Mo Yunjue's treatment is really enviable. We've stayed in the Penglai Palace for so long. Not to mention obtaining a contract beast, we couldn't even enter the inner palace. That's right. Most people are promoted from outer palace disciples to inner palace disciples. Cultivators like Mo Yunjue who were directly promoted to inner palace disciples are extremely rare. Who asked him to be the successor of the Demon Training Tower? His potential is far from what ordinary people can compare to. I think the contracted beast he obtained this time is definitely not simple. For a moment, Mo Yunjue had become the target of everyone's envy. He had achieved so much in such a short period of time. It was as if he had a meteoric rise. He had only just arrived, and he had already become such an awesome person without any foundation. Bailey Hongzhuang's group is really powerful. Even friends they make are not simple. I really regret it now. If I didn't become enemies with them when they first came to Penglai Palace, and instead made friends with them, I think I might not be like this now. Who would have thought that they would be so abnormal? Generally speaking, cultivators like them would not be able to survive. However, there was an exception this time. In my opinion, with their current momentum, no one in the Penglai Palace will be able to stop them in the future. You're right about this. If we can't please them when we see them in the future, we definitely can't offend them. How tragic was the fate of Duan Huali and the others. A rank 2 Starlight cultivator directly became a cripple. In the end, he killed himself. No matter what, we must not repeat the same mistake. Chapter 3904. For the next few days, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had been cultivating in the cultivation area. Originally, they had obtained a certain amount of points in the Outer Palace Disciples training area. After that, Bailey Hongzhuang's healing medicine had been auctioned off, and they had obtained quite a number of points. Therefore, it was completely enough for them to cultivate in the cultivation area for a period of time. When they were in the Demon Training Tower, they had never stopped fighting in the arena. Especially Bailey Hongzhuang, Di Beichun, and Mo Yunjue. After obtaining the inheritance, their cultivation had suddenly increased by a lot. Therefore, they had to go into closed-door cultivation for a period of time to stabilize their cultivation. Although the Demon Training Tower was extremely powerful and it had helped them to increase their cultivation without too many side effects, there were still some hidden dangers. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' philosophy was to fight steadily and surely. If they wanted to increase their cultivation, they had to do this. Xiren and Shangwan Yingying did not have any objections to this. Now that Bewitching and the others' cultivation was so much higher than theirs, they urgently needed to increase their cultivation. Therefore, they did not have any objections at all. On this day, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun had finished their cultivation and were walking towards their residence. Di Beichun, we can go to the training area in a few days, right? Bailey Hongzhuang slowly said. She had already been in closed-door cultivation for a period of time and could go out to train. Although she had already seen the terror of the skeleton army once, and her heart was filled with disgust towards these fellows, she still wanted to go because it was an extremely good place to train her abilities. Di Beichun nodded slightly. All right, we'll set off whenever you want. It just so happens that I want to take this opportunity to research whether or not I can understand the power of darkness better. From there, I can concoct a healing medicine that can completely restrain the power of darkness. A faint smile appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. She had always been filled with curiosity towards things that she had never seen before. Similarly, she also wanted to research a medicine that could completely restrain the power of darkness. This had always been her hobby, and it was because of this that her medical skills were so outstanding. In her previous life, the elders in the family only allowed her to learn medicine after knowing that she was full of competitiveness towards the uncured poison. Facts had proven that with such a mentality, the progress of her medical skills was indeed extremely fast. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Di Beichun stroked Bailey Hongzhuang's hair affectionately. I know you haven't let go of this matter. If you were strong enough at that time, you would have gone there to investigate. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly, a bright light flashing in her eyes. She smiled tenderly and said, Beichun, you know me best. Of course. Di Beichun showed a proud look. No matter what you want to do, I will accompany you. Let's ask Xiren and the others later. If they are interested, we can go together. All right. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled gently. That's right, my wife. Didn't a new door open in the Chaos Ring? What's inside? Why haven't I heard you mention it before? Beichun looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with some astonishment. Usually, every time a new door opened in the Chaos Ring, there would be something that would be very helpful to it. Chapter 3905. Indeed, a new stone chamber has appeared. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. I only saw a secret manual in there. There were some obscure things written on it. Until now, I still don't understand what it's used for. At this point, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but frown. Her expression was filled with helplessness and confusion. When she first heard that a new stone chamber had appeared, she was extremely happy. However, when she realized that she didn't understand what was written on the secret manual, she felt very helpless. You don't understand? Di Beichun was a little surprised. With Bailey Hongzhuang's intelligence, there were very few things that she couldn't understand. That's right. I just don't understand. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed. However, I vaguely feel that these things are somewhat familiar. They should be of some use to me. It's just that I haven't discovered it yet. The things in the Chaos Ring must be related to you. Although I don't understand it now, I believe that if you study it more, you'll eventually discover its use. Di Beichun held Bailey Hongzhuang's small hand. His brows were full of trust. This Chaos Ring has recognized you as its master. The things inside are tailor-made for you. There must be a reason for its appearance. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and nodded. I think so too. That's why I've been studying it these past few days. Although I haven't made any progress yet, I believe that I'll definitely understand it in the future. Vaguely, she felt that this secret manual should be of some help to her in increasing her strength. Moreover, the help was not small. However, she still hadn't figured out how to use it. This was because the contents written on it were too obscure and difficult to understand. Until now, she still hadn't fully understood the contents of this secret manual. Master, you're so smart, but you still can't understand the contents of this secret manual. If it were someone else, I'm afraid that they would have to spend even more time. Xiaohei smiled and said, That's right. The Chaos Ring is a divine weapon. The things that appear in it are not simple. Not to mention the secret manual this time. Even the inscription techniques from before weren't easy to learn. It's just that Master is too smart in this aspect. That's why she was able to grasp it so quickly. Xiaobai comforted. Bailey Hongzhuang stroked the heads of the two little fellows. You're really getting better at talking. Master, we're not flattering you this time. What we're saying is the truth. Xiao Hei. Baisher was also walking beside Bailey Hongzhuang at this moment. After seeing Little Black and Little White like this, he couldn't help but say, you should work harder and quickly improve your cultivation. Otherwise, with your current strength, you won't be able to help Master in the future. After Bailey Hongzhuang obtained the inheritance of the Demon Training Tower, her strength had increased by several levels. In comparison, the cultivation of the three contracted beasts was much weaker. Baisher's usual speed of improvement was very fast, but now he was still left behind by Bailey Hongzhuang by a large margin. If he wanted to break through to the star boundary, it was obviously not possible to succeed in a short period of time. As for Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai, their speed was even slower. If this continued, they wouldn't be able to help Bailey Hongzhuang solve the problem. Chapter 3906. Then I'll wait and see. Baisher raised his eyebrows. He didn't care about Xiao Hei's provocation at all. Back then, Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai were stronger than him, but they mocked him for a long time. Now that his strength had surpassed Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai, he felt very happy. You're so smug. Xiao Hei pursed her lips and pouted her face like a steam bun. Bailey Hongzhuang listened to the three beasties, and a smile appeared on her face. I'm relieved that you guys are working hard on your cultivation. Now that her cultivation had increased, she naturally hoped that Xiao Hei, Xiao Bai, and Baisher's cultivation could also increase. That way, they would have more protection when they went to the upper realm in the future. From A.O. Lingxiao's words, she already knew that the forces in the upper realm were much stronger than where they were currently. Even if they broke through to the Starlight realm, they would only be at the bottom of the hierarchy in the upper realm. Therefore, if they were stronger, they would have more protection when they went there. Otherwise, before they even reached the D family, there might be some problems. For this kind of thing, Bailey Hongzhuang had never held a fluke mentality. Master, don't worry. We'll definitely work hard on our cultivation, Xiao Bai said seriously. At this moment, Debaichen's mystic fire demon rock also poked its head out and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's three contracted beasts with a hint of fear in its eyes. Then, it turned to Debaichen and said, Master, I'll also work hard on increasing my cultivation. Debaichen rubbed the mystic fire demon rock's little head and smiled. Okay, little Schwanzi, when are you coming back to the Chaos Ring with us? Xiao Hei couldn't help but ask after seeing the mystic fire demon rock. Little Schwanzi was the name they gave the mystic fire demon rock. Although the mystic fire demon rock was very dissatisfied with this name and had resisted many times, the three beasties still gave it this name. It couldn't be helped. The mystic fire demon rock's cultivation was weaker than theirs, so they could only be bullied by them. Not only that, because the three beasties were stronger, they already regarded themselves as the boss and bullied the three new contracted beasts to a certain extent. The mystic fire demon rock was dissatisfied with Xiao Hei's bullying, so it stuck to D. Obviously, it didn't want to return to the Chaos Ring. I'm not going back, the mystic fire demon rock said proudly. How can you not go back? We're helping you to increase your cultivation. That's why we're giving you such pressure, said Xiao. Forget it. I can also improve my cultivation by following my master. In any case, we are all cultivating in the cultivation area. What's the difference? Relying on Debaichen, the mystic fire demon rock only had one thought in its mind, and that was to increase its strength as soon as possible. Only then could it change the situation of being bullied. Debaichen and Bailey Hongzhuang looked at each other with a smile on their lips. In fact, they both knew that the three beasties didn't bully the mystic fire demon rock. It was just that the three little guys had some bad taste and liked to mess with the mystic fire demon rock. However, under the oppression of the three beasties, not only Debaichen's mystic fire demon rock, but Xiren and Shangguan Yingying's contracted beasts also wanted to increase their cultivation. This way, they would be able to make a comeback. Chapter 3907. As Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichan slowly made their way to their residence, they saw Wen Ziren chatting with Ren Ziheng and the others outside the door. Seeing Di Beichan and Shang Wanning return, everyone greeted them. "You're back too. Seen your brother, Ren. It's good to see you." Bailey Hongzhuang quickly walked over to Ren Ziheng and the others with a joyful smile on her face. Hearing this, Ren Ziheng raised his eyebrows and said, "Junior sister Bailey is looking for us. Is something the matter?" Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. Di Beichan and I are planning to go to the training ground to train, so we're planning to form a group. We wanted to ask if you have any plans to go. Sure. Ren Zimei smiled and nodded. We should also go to the training grounds. If we continue to stay in the cultivation area, we won't have enough points. If we don't go to the training grounds to earn some points, we won't be able to continue cultivating. Hongzhuang, are you planning to go? Has your foundation stabilized? Shangguan Ying asked. There's no problem. It's boring to stay in the cultivation area to cultivate. It's better to go to the training grounds. Ziren, what do you think? Do you want to go together? At this moment, Di Beichan suddenly asked. Ziren glanced at Di Beichan and smiled. Since you want to go, why shouldn't we go? I knew it. Shangguan Ying chuckled. Although those skeletons look disgusting, we still have to go and train. Just as everyone was talking, Ren Zimei's voice suddenly attracted everyone's attention. Look, there's another woman looking for junior brother Mo. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but follow Ren Zimei's gaze. Sure enough, a woman stopped in front of Mo Yunjue's door. Again, Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. She didn't ignore the word again that Ren Zimei said. Ren Zimei nodded. Yes, you don't know yet, right? Now junior brother Mo has become the most popular male disciple in Penglai Palace. Oh, Ziren was surprised. I didn't expect that there would be such a thing. Junior brother Mo's appearance is outstanding. Coupled with his extremely powerful strength and promising future, he naturally attracts the attention of women. In this entire Penglai Palace, there are very few cultivators who can compare with him. Ren Zimei shrugged her shoulders. She obviously felt that all this was reasonable. Logically speaking, junior brother D and junior brother Wen should also be extremely popular with everyone. However, both of you are already taken, so you are not as attractive as junior brother Mo. I see. When Ziren chuckled. So it seems that Yinju's peach blossoms are blooming in this Penglai Palace. Maybe he will accidentally meet his real peach blossom. That's for the best. Chu Jinfeng chuckled. The number of outstanding female disciples in the Penglai Palace is not small. If he can really find his other half, that would be a good story. However, in my opinion, this junior apprentice Brother Mo's temperament is a bit too cold. In the past few days, there have been many women who have tried to get close to him, but they were all mercilessly rejected by junior Brother Mo. Chapter 3908. The woman who is looking for junior brother Mo is a very famous person in the inner palace of Penglai. Her name is Su Yingxue, and there are many men who chase after her. Ren Zimei's eyes shone with excitement. However, her standards are also very high. Ordinary men can't enter her eyes. I didn't expect her to take the initiative to look for junior brother Mo. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. Looking at Ren Zimei's gossipy appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but find it funny. It's not strange for her to take the initiative when she meets the man she likes. Ren Zimei shook her head. She usually has an extremely arrogant look on her face. So many men have tried to woo her, but she doesn't care about them at all. She can't even be bothered to talk to them. Now that she has taken the initiative to look for junior brother Mo, isn't this considered as unprecedented news? If this news gets out, I'm afraid it will cause a commotion. Forget it. It's better not to spread this news. Ziren waved his hand. Otherwise, won't Yunjue become the target of public criticism? That's true. Ren Ziheng chuckled. However, even if this news doesn't spread, junior brother Mo has already become a thorn in the side of many male disciples. It seems that being too charming is also a mistake. Shangguan Yingying sighed. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang and the group set off for the training ground. After Mo Yunjue and Ao Lingxiao learned of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' plans, they also proposed to go together. As a result, their team became 9 people. Although this kind of team wasn't considered a lot during the training, it was still quite a lot. Mo Yunjue was very curious about the skeletons that everyone was talking about. After all, he had never heard of such creatures before. Is the skeleton army really as scary as you say? Mo Yunjue asked slowly. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. The skeleton army's number is indeed very scary. They attack by surrounding you. Therefore, once you are surrounded, it won't be easy to escape. However, we were only at the 5th level of the Purple Realm when we went there, so it will be more difficult for us to deal with it. But with our current situation, it should be much easier to deal with it. If it weren't for Hong Zhuang's zither technique, I'm afraid we would have died there. Xiren sighed. Hearing the conversation between Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest, Ren Ziheng could not help but turn around and say, "Last time, you were only at the outer part of the training ground. The deeper you go into the training ground, the more terrifying the skeleton's strength is. Now that you've all broken through to the Astral Radiance realm, you naturally won't continue to stay in the outer regions. Once you enter deeper, you still have to be careful everywhere because the strength of those skeletons is also extremely abnormal. Moreover, the number of liches will also increase greatly, and the frequency of skeletal soldiers appearing will be even higher. You definitely can't underestimate them. Are there a lot of skeleton soldiers?" Shangguan Yingying's eyes sparkled with curiosity. Last time, they had also seen skeleton soldiers in the skeleton army. Obviously, the skeleton soldiers were much stronger than the ordinary skeletons. However, there were very few of them at that time, so it didn't cause too much of an impact. Chapter 3909. A team composed entirely of skeleton soldiers? Shangguan Yingying couldn't help but exclaim, "How terrifying is their combat power!" It is precisely because of this that in that battle, it is said that the team was almost completely wiped out. Ren Ziheng sighed. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Ao Lingxiao thoughtfully. According to Ao Lingxiao, the passage to the upper world was in the depths of this training ground. It seemed that if one wanted to go to the upper world, one needed to be extremely strong. Otherwise, one couldn't even reach the passage. Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but look at each other. Obviously, both of them had thought of the same problem. If they had the chance, they also wanted to see where the entrance to the upper world was. By the way, I have one more thing to remind you. Ren Ziheng suddenly said. What's the matter? In fact, this training ground is not only for the cultivators of our Penglai Palace. The other forces are also heading to the same place. It's just that everyone is in different passages. The closer you are to the center of the training ground, the greater the possibility of encountering other forces. Once you encounter them, you have to pay more attention. There's a certain amount of competition between the major forces. If there is a disagreement, it is possible to fight. So, it is best to be more vigilant against the cultivators of other forces. Ren Ziheng's gaze couldn't help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang. Junior Sister Bailey, you are now famous in Penglai Palace. Many forces have already noticed your existence. If you are recognized by the cultivators of other forces, they may use some special methods to deal with you. So, you must be more careful. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. A serious and dignified look appeared between her eyebrows. Senior Brother Ren, thank you for your reminder. I will be careful. We are a team. When the time comes, we will inevitably act together. I will also pay more attention. Ren Ziheng smiled and said. Bailey Hongzhuang was now in high demand. In addition, she had a huge sum of money. Many people were envious. Not to mention the cultivators of other forces. Even the cultivators of Penglai Palace had some thoughts about her. However, due to her strength being too strong, there was no benefit in offending her, so everyone forcibly suppressed this idea. The outside forces were different. They were not afraid of offending Master Long at all. As long as there were benefits, they were willing to do anything. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others entered the training grounds through the teleportation array. This time, compared to the last time they were here, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others felt completely different. He was no longer as nervous and perturbed as before. Instead, he walked very calmly. There won't be any skeletons during the day, so we can rest assured. Let's go deeper into the forest when the sun rises. Rinzime said slowly, with your current cultivation, staying in the outer perimeter is of no use to you. Although we've been here before, we don't know much about this place. Senior Sister Ren, we'll follow you. We'll stay wherever you think is suitable. The ink-black letters flickered with a peaceful light, and the gentle and light voice was full of trust. Chapter 39:10. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others followed Runzime and the others into the depths of the training ground. As always, the ground was black. It was all black as far as the eye could see, giving people an indescribable feeling of oppression. Although I've been here once, I still feel very uncomfortable looking at this place. Shangguan Yingying sighed. Usually, no matter where it was, there would always be vitality. However, this place was lifeless. It was as if after coming here, they could not help but be stained with the aura of death. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Indeed, the environment here is very depressing. It's okay during the day, but the feeling at night is even worse. When Xiren shrugged, he could not help but think of the mood when they were wondering when the skeleton army would appear in the dark. That kind of nervous feeling was very uncomfortable. Mo Yunduel looked around, his eyes flashing with a strong sense of surprise. Previously, he only heard that the skeletons in this training ground were extremely powerful and that they had to be very careful. Now, after coming here, he realized that the environment here was so special. No wonder there are so many skeletons here. This place can't give birth to anything else at all. It can only develop these dead things. This is indeed a very strange place. Let alone you, I've been here many times, but I still feel very uncomfortable. Chu Jinfeng smiled helplessly. By the way, there's one more thing I forgot to tell you. What is it? The last time you came here, didn't we find that one of the liches was very powerful? Hongzhuang directly said that the liches were evolved liches. That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded lightly. I still remember this. Since that incident, we have reported this matter. Later, according to everyone's investigation, we found that there were indeed some liches that had evolved. Chu Jinfeng's face was full of emotion. As the strength of the liches increased, it became more difficult for us to deal with the skeleton army. Indeed, Bewitching's deep eyes flashed with a complicated light. Later on, Penglai Palace should have increased the number of cultivators who are good at sound attacks, right? Ever since Junior Sister Bailey revealed this matter, Penglai Palace has indeed intended to recruit more cultivators who are good at sound attacks. However, to be honest, there are very few cultivators who are good at sound attacks. In addition, there are too few people who can reach this level of cultivation. Therefore, although they have recruited some, the number is not many. Now, these cultivators who are good at sound attacks are very popular in the team. Every time, everyone wants to team up with them. I want to tell you that the current skeleton army is stronger than before. Once they encounter the evolved liches, it will be more difficult to deal with them. I see. Bailey Hongzhuang showed a look of understanding, but she couldn't help but frown. So far, only the evolved lich has been found, and no other skeletons or soldiers have evolved. Not at the moment. Ren Ziheng said slowly. Deep Beichen's eyes darkened. Not at the moment doesn't mean that it won't appear. Since the liches have begun to evolve, it proves that these guys who are stained with black aura may evolve. Chapter 39:11. If that's really the case, then the situation will be very complicated. Ren Ziheng's expression turned serious. I hope that won't happen. Just based on the current battle strength of the skeleton army, it's already very difficult to deal with them. If they get stronger, then it's really... Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun couldn't help but look at each other. They didn't have such optimistic thoughts. According to their predictions, it was only a matter of time before they evolved. It was just that they hadn't found the opportunity to find the golden flower yet. Everyone moved stealthily in an orderly manner. In the process, they also met other teams, but most of them stayed at the periphery. After all, the deeper they went, the bigger the skeleton army they met. Therefore, teams that weren't strong enough would stay at the periphery according to their strength. Senior brother Ao, where's the entrance to the upper realm that you mentioned? Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked to Ao Lingxiao's side, her eyes flashing with curiosity. The entrance is at the center of the training ground. It's still very far from here. However, the skeletons there are very powerful. If you want to pass through, you have to be at least a Starlight Realm cultivator. Even if you're a Starlight Realm cultivator, if your battle strength isn't strong enough, you might not be able to pass through. Ao Lingxiao lowered his voice and said. Bailey Hongzhuang revealed a look of understanding. I see. However, since the skeletons in the training ground don't appear during the day, then wouldn't it be fine if we rush over during the day? Then there won't be any problems. It's not as simple as you think. Ao Lingxiao shook his head. Near the entrance to the upper realm, it's night all day. There's no day at all. Bailey Hongzhuang and Deep Beichun were astonished when they heard this. There's only night? That's right. I don't really understand this point, but it's indeed like that. Ao Lingxiao shrugged. His brows were filled with a trace of confusion. Not only that, there's a layer of restriction at the entrance. If you're a Starlight Realm cultivator, you can directly enter. On the contrary, if one's cultivation hasn't reached the Starlight Realm, then one will be directly blocked and utterly unable to enter. I didn't think that there would be a restriction. In that case, others will indeed be unable to enter. Bailey Hongzhuang sighed. After giving it some thought, she felt that this method was very reasonable. If anyone could enter directly, then there would be no need to separate the upper realm from the Shengxian continent. If you're not strong enough, you'll be bullied in the upper realm. That's definitely not a good thing. Ao Lingxiao's expression was serious and solemn. Actually, although it is said that cultivators can enter the upper realm as long as they reach the first level of the astral light realm, it is usually better to enter the upper realm later, because the cultivators of the upper realms are all extremely powerful. Apart from some youths, most of the cultivators above the age of 20 have already reached the astral boundary. If he was only Star Brilliance level 1 when he went, once he encountered danger, it would be extremely troublesome. After all, it doesn't feel good to be unable to deal with anyone. I understand. This kind of feeling is indeed unpleasant. Bailey Hongzhuang lightly nodded. Thinking back to when they first came to Penglai Island, they also felt this way. Whenever they encountered a slightly stronger cultivator, they would need to be everywhere. Chapter 39:12. Fortunately, their luck was not bad at that time, and they were not directly found by Gao Hanshun. Instead, Gao Hanshun was trapped. Otherwise, they might not have survived until now. In that case, it would be better for us to increase our strength a little more before we go. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly said, we can wait for Yingying and the others to go together. Hearing that, Di Beichun smiled. Indeed, when Xiren and the others break through to the Starlight Realm, our strength should improve again. At that time, when we go to the upper realm, our ability to protect ourselves will be stronger. Yes, that would be the best. Ao Lingxiao was very happy. He was originally worried that after Bailey Hongzhuang and the others went to the upper realm, he would not be able to contact them for a while. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others understood this point, he did not need to worry anymore. Thinking about it, when Xiren and the others break through to the Starlight Realm, he would have broken through to the Starlight Realm long ago. When he thought about how he could actually find Di Beichun of the Di family who was wandering outside, he sometimes felt as if he was in a dream. He simply could not believe that all of this was real. Fortunately, it was not an illusion, and the heavens had given him a glimmer of hope. Hongzhuang, what are you guys whispering about? Shangguan Yingying, who was walking in front, turned her head and asked Hongzhuang curiously. Nothing, just chatting. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly, and then sped up to Shangguan Yingying's side. As night slowly fell, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others stopped and chose a safer place to stop. Let's stay here tonight. Although this place is not very deep, it is not the outer area, Renzime slowly said. Okay, Bewitching replied. Chu Jinfeng smiled faintly. Actually, we usually just stay in a place slightly deeper than this. But now that we have 3 Starlight Realm cultivators in the team, we can go deeper. Speaking of which, this is all thanks to you guys. How is this thanks to us? Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. The deeper you go, the more dangerous it will be. If it weren't for us, you wouldn't have gone there. Bailey Hongzhuang was not a stupid person. On the contrary, she had an exquisite heart. With the cultivation of Ren Ziheng and the others, if they went too deep, the danger would increase greatly. It was definitely not a place they wanted to go. However, the 3 of them had already broken through to the Starlight tier, and there wasn't any benefit to staying here to temper themselves. Therefore, Ren Ziheng and the other 2 definitely made such a decision in consideration of them. As Bailey Hongzhuang's voice fell, the gazes of Ren Ziheng and the others couldn't help but change. Bailey Hongzhuang was really smart. In this training ground, no matter where we are, we will encounter danger. We will be safer if we follow you. Renzime smiled faintly. However, we should still be alert. An army of skeletons may appear here at any time. We must be extra careful. Everyone's face was solemn as they looked around vigilantly. As long as there was the slightest movement, they would definitely react immediately. Chapter 39:13. Yunjue, this is your first time coming to this training ground. I'm afraid there are some things you don't understand. Di Beichun stood beside Mo Yunjue and slowly said. Among all of them, Mo Yunjue was the only one who had never been here before. Mo Yunjue nodded. Indeed, I hope to see it tonight. If there is an army of skeletons, pits will appear on the ground, and these skeletons will come out of the pits. So once you discover that there is a change in the ground, you need to be prepared immediately. If there is a pit in the ground, you need to leave immediately. The strength of these skeletons is not small. If you're not careful, you may directly break your legs. Di Beichun reminded. So that's how it is. Mo Yunjue's calm face did not show any change in expression, but his eyes quietly became dignified. If it was others who said that this place was very dangerous, he may not care, but since even Di Beichun said so, it proved that the level of danger here was very high. As the night gradually deepened, not only did everyone not relax, but on the contrary, their spirits were constantly in a tense situation. Senior brother Run, will we definitely encounter an army of skeletons in this training ground? Shangguan Yingying waited for an hour and did not see any skeletons appear, so she could not help but ask. That's not necessarily true. Ren Ziheng shook his head. Generally speaking, the deeper you go, the higher the possibility of encountering an army of skeletons. Based on where we are now, we will not encounter an army of skeletons every time. This is all based on luck. The army of skeletons will appear at any time, so it is possible for them to appear anywhere. However, the closer we are to the center, not only will the probability of encountering an army of skeletons be higher, but the strength of the army of skeletons will also be stronger. I understand. Shangguan Yingying's eyes lit up. Maybe our luck today is very good, and we did not encounter an army of skeletons. If that's the case, then it's also very good. Everyone maintained a tense state until the sky gradually brightened. Only then did they relax. I didn't expect our cloud rising to be so good. We did not encounter an army of skeletons. I was nervous for the whole night. Shangguan Yingying relaxed and sat down. She didn't do anything the whole night, but under that kind of tense state, she also felt very tired. Let's rest for a while. We'll continue later. Bailey Hongzhuang also sat down and turned to look at Mo Yunju. Were you disappointed that we didn't meet last night? A little. Mo Yunjue smiled faintly. We had the same feeling as you when we first met him. However, after meeting him once, we really hope that we won't meet him again. Xiren shook his head and sighed. After resting and reorganizing, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest of the 9 people continued their journey. Bailey Hongzhuang observed the various characteristics of the training ground as they walked. According to their judgment, if they wanted to concoct a healing medicine that could completely restrain the power of darkness, they would definitely need something in this training ground. However, she would have to slowly find out what it was. Unfortunately, as far as the eye could see, there was almost nothing here other than soil. She couldn't figure out what it could be. Chapter 39:14. I'm just looking to see if there's anything here that can be used as a medicinal ingredient. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Di Beichen raised his eyebrows. There doesn't seem to be anything here apart from dirt. It'll be very difficult to find anything that can be used as a medicinal ingredient. Indeed, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. I'm just looking around. The 100 Flowers Gate sent people here to search, but they didn't find anything in the end. This place has been corroded by the power of darkness to the point where not even a blade of grass grows. It's impossible for any medicinal ingredients to grow here. Because of this, the 100 Flowers Gate hasn't made any progress. That's right, ever since they found out that the medicine you made had a suppressive effect, the people from the 100 Flowers Gate wanted to meet you, but they were rejected. Right now, there are many people from the 100 Flowers Gate outside of Penglai Palace who want to meet you and invite you to join them. Ren Zimei's eyes rippled with emotion. Ever since Bailey Hongzhuang made the medicine, she had become famous on Penglai Island. Almost every faction wanted to poach her. Among all the factions, the 100 Flowers Gate was the most eager. I don't plan on going anywhere else. Bailey Hongzhuang blinked. Actually, the 100 Flowers Gate's judgment isn't wrong. My judgment is the same as theirs. If you want to find an antidote that can completely suppress the power of darkness, the most important ingredient must be in this place filled with the power of darkness. However, we'll have to carefully observe what it is. Junior Sister Bailey, then you'll have to work hard. If you can really make it, then it'll be amazing. Chu Jinfeng praised. If anyone else said this, he wouldn't believe them at all. However, Bailey Hongzhuang was different. Bailey Hongzhuang really did have the ability to do so. As Bailey Hongzhuang and the others went deeper, they found that the number of cultivator groups around them had decreased. The deeper they went, the fewer cultivator groups there were. However, as they walked, they still encountered a group. There were 10 people in this team, which was obviously not a lot among the many large teams. However, from their performance, one could tell that they were all elites. Originally, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others did not pay too much attention to this team. However, Ren Zimei's words attracted everyone's attention. Look, isn't that Su Yingxue? I didn't expect her to come here to train as well. Ren Zimei's eyes were filled with emotion. She could not help but look at Mo Yunjue from the corner of her eyes and said, "What a coincidence." Yesterday, they had seen Su Yingxue looking for Mo Yunjue alone. Who would have thought that they would meet again in this training ground? It was indeed fate. However, they did not know what Su Yingxue and Mo Yunjue had talked about yesterday. Following Ren Zimei's words, everyone instantly recalled what they had seen the day before. Their gazes couldn't help but wander between Su Yingxue and Mo Yunjue. Facing everyone's gazes, Mo Yunjue's expression remained cold, as if nothing had happened. Chapter 39:15. The cultivators around Su Yingxue also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang's group, and their eyes flashed with a thick color of surprise. Isn't that Mo Yunjue? He Bingrue, who was beside Su Yingxue, had astonishment in her eyes. Yingxue, didn't he reject you when you invited him to the training grounds yesterday? He said that he didn't have any plans for now. So why did he meet you here today? Could it be that he purposely said that to reject you? Su Yingxue's expression was already ugly, and when she heard He Bingrue's question, her expression couldn't help but become even uglier. Bingrue, how would I know what he was thinking? If he rejected me, then so be it. It can't be, right? You already gave him a lot of face by taking the initiative to invite him. And he actually rejected you? Isn't this too much? He Bingrue looked at Mo Yunjue in disbelief. Su Yingxue was a top beauty in Penglai Palace Hall, and there were countless men who chased after her, but she didn't care about them. Only Mo Yunjue had a different feeling. However, Mo Yunjue was outstanding and elegant, and he was also the inheritor of Devil Training Pagoda, so his potential was limitless. If he was with Su Yingxue, he would be very suitable. It was because of this that she had encouraged Su Yingxue to take the initiative to greet Mo Yunjue and invite him to join the training. However, she didn't expect that Mo Yunjue would reject her. It was fine if Mo Yunjue didn't come, but now that he had coincidentally met them, wasn't this a slap in the face? Where would Su Yingxue put her face? Looking at He Bingrue's indignant look, Su Yingxue couldn't help but pull her hand and say, "Lower your voice. Haven't I embarrassed myself enough? Won't everyone know what you're saying?" Hearing that, He Bingrue restrained her voice, but the puzzlement in her eyes was still very strong. Seeing that, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest couldn't help but look at each other. "I seem to have heard the sound of a heart breaking." Shangwan Yingying sighed as she spread out her hands. Ren Zime nodded. "I think so too. Looking at the situation, it seems like the falling flowers have feelings for each other, but the heartless flowing water is heartless." When Xiren, Di Beichun, and the rest didn't say anything, Mo Yunjue's attitude was completely within their expectations. After all, the person that Mo Yunjue liked was much more outstanding than Su Yingxue. Actually, this isn't strange. Even though Su Yingxue is very pretty, she can't be considered a peerless beauty. Yunju is so outstanding, it's not strange that he doesn't like her. Shang Wanning looked as if it was only natural. In her opinion, the person Mo Yunjue liked was Bailey Hongzhuang. Su Yingxue looked pretty good, but if she was compared to Bailey Hongzhuang, the difference was huge. It was only natural that Mo Yunjue would ignore her. Su Yingxue isn't pretty enough? Ren Zime was a little astonished. Then Junior Brother Mo's taste is really not ordinary. In any case, I don't think so. After all, looking at Hongzhuang's face every day, I don't have any feelings for ordinary beauties. As soon as she said this, Ren Zime couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang. She nodded and said, "What you said is also true. Junior Sister Bailey's beauty is enough to topple a city. When I first saw her, I was stunned for a long time, thinking that Junior Sister Bailey was just a flower vase." Chapter 39:16. Faced with everyone's guesses, Mo Yunjue did not even bat an eye at them, as if this had nothing to do with him. He had never thought that he would be so popular after coming to Penglai Palace. To other men, this might be a very enjoyable thing, but to him, it was just trouble. Because of this, he rarely went to other places other than the cultivation area and his residence to avoid attracting more trouble. As for the Su Yingxue that everyone was talking about, he only remembered that there was such a person. He didn't even know her name. After Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest noticed this, they couldn't help but quicken their steps. Since it was true, they would only attract unnecessary trouble if they continued to move forward together. It was better for them to separate. However, just as Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest quickened their steps, a voice suddenly rang out from Su Yingxue's group. "I never thought that Junior Mo, who has been in the limelight recently, would also be a liar. What a pity." Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest couldn't help but stop in their tracks. Their gazes turned towards the cultivator who had spoken. Su Yingxue and the rest clearly didn't expect someone to suddenly speak and immediately turned their heads. After seeing the person who had spoken, Su Yingxue's face darkened. "Zheng Haipeng, why are you causing trouble for no reason?" He Bingrue couldn't help reprimanding him. Zheng Haipeng glanced at He Bingrue, but his gaze couldn't help but land on Su Yingxue. When he saw that Su Yingxue had her head lowered and didn't speak, the unhappiness in his heart became even stronger. "What? Did I say something wrong?" Zheng Haipeng looked unconvinced. After glancing coldly at Mo Yunjue, he said, "Previously, when Yingxue went to ask him, he clearly said that he had no intention of coming to the training ground. Yet we met here today. If this isn't a lie, then what is? Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest frowned slightly. Their gazes landed on Zheng Haipeng. They never thought that such a thing would happen at such a time. Let's go. Mo Yunjue's face was cold. He had no intention of paying attention to Zheng Haipeng's words, as if the person Zheng Haipeng was talking about was not him. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at each other. Since Mo Yunjue didn't have any objections, they didn't care anymore. When Zheng Haipeng saw that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were planning to leave, he became even more motivated. I was wondering how powerful he was. He's just a coward. He doesn't even dare to speak now. I really don't know if those women who like him are blind. Zheng Haipeng secretly spat, his face full of disdain. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could not help but frown. They all knew that this matter had nothing to do with Mo Yunjue. Previously, when Suing Xue had gone to find Mo Yunjue, they hadn't mentioned going to the training ground. Therefore, it was reasonable for Mo Yunjue to say such words. It was only after they had mentioned this matter that Mo Yunjue had agreed. It was also unexpected for them to meet here today. Chapter 39:17. This Zheng Haipeng is also an inner palace disciple, and his abilities are not bad. Among Su Yingxue's pursuers, he's one of the most famous. Basically, everyone knows about him. However, Su Yingxue doesn't seem to have any feelings for him. So even if he pursues her passionately, Su Yingxue has never responded, Ren Zimei said slowly. Hearing that, Shangguan Ying instantly understood. So he's treating Yunju as his love rival. He has pursued Su Yingxue for so long without any results. On the contrary, Su Yingxue directly invited Yunju, so it's normal that he can't take it. Ren Zimei nodded slightly. That's right. He must be extremely angry after knowing about this. Now that he's met junior brother Mo, it's natural for him to mock him. This person is definitely crazy. What does him not being able to pursue Su Yingxue have to do with Yunju? Shangguan Ying revealed a look of disdain. He can't pursue her because he doesn't have the ability, yet he's blaming others for being charming. What a joke. Forget it, let's go. Mo Yunjue's brows revealed a hint of displeasure, but more of it was coldness. He had no thoughts about Su Yingxue and didn't plan to get into any trouble because of this woman. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest frowned. Zheng Haipeng's words were undoubtedly provoking them, but it was more of a provocation between love rivals. To this, if Mo Yunjue could take it, they naturally didn't plan to stand out. After all, Zheng Haipeng was someone who liked to cause trouble. If they were to bother with him, there would be a lot of trouble. Let's not bother with these senseless people and just leave. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was cold. She hated this kind of man the most. Only the person involved knew about love. If he couldn't pursue her, he would start to find trouble with others. This was a problem of tolerance. When Zheng Haipeng saw that Mo Yunjue was ignoring him, he couldn't help but become even more anxious. Yingxue, look at this guy. He's just a coward. I've already said so much, and he still doesn't dare to bother with me. What exactly is it about him that made you have a whole new level of respect for him? Zheng Haipeng looked at Su Yingxue with a pleased and puzzled expression. Mo Yunjue not paying any attention to him was an act of a coward. Coincidentally, he could use this chance to perform well in front of Su Yingxue and let her know who was the real man between him and Mo Yunjue. Su Yingxue's expression was already very ugly, and when she heard Zheng Haipeng's words, she became even more displeased. Su Yingxue raised her head and saw Mo Yunjue's cold expression from beginning to end, as if he wasn't concerned about this matter. She couldn't help feeling a chill in her heart. This was the first time she had taken the initiative to develop feelings for a man. She didn't expect the other party to ignore her. It really hurt her self-esteem. Could it be that, to Mo Yunjue, she really wasn't special at all? His hands gradually clenched under his sleeves, tightly pinching his sleeves. A myriad of emotions flashed through his mind. Zheng Haipeng, we already didn't provoke you, yet you keep provoking us time and time again. What is the meaning of this? Chu Jinfeng looked at Zheng Haipeng unhappily. It was one thing for Zheng Haiping to quarrel with him, but now he actually said that Mo Yunjue was a coward. Wasn't this a little too much? Chapter 39:18. Chu Jinfeng frowned, unable to hide the disgust in his eyes. He had never had a good impression of Zheng Haiping. It was fine that they didn't interact with each other normally, but he had always disliked Zheng Haiping's way of doing things. Who would have thought that Zheng Haiping would take the initiative to provoke him and even go overboard with his words? Zheng Haiping, it's your own problem if you can't get what you want. Why are you implicating others? Am I wrong? Zheng Haiping sneered. I've already said so much, but he still hasn't reacted. If he's not a coward, then what is he? This kind of person isn't worthy of Yingshue's liking. I just want Yingxue to see the truth. Hearing that, Chu Jinfeng couldn't help but look at Mo Yunjue. He hadn't known Mo Yunjue for long, so he didn't know much about him. He only felt that Mo Yunjue was usually very cold and didn't like to talk, but since he was a member of their team, he naturally couldn't stand to see others humiliating him. However, Zheng Haiping's words had already gone overboard, but Mo Yunjue still didn't have any reaction. Chu Jinfeng really didn't know if he should say that Mo Yunjue was magnanimous or something. Not only Chu Jinfeng, but the cultivators in Su Yingshue's team also sighed in their hearts when they saw this scene. They originally thought that Mo Yunjue was very strong and should be a real man. Who would have thought that he liked to swallow his pride so much? It was really unbelievable. Yingxue, although Mo Yunjue is indeed very handsome, I think Zheng Haiping is right. He has already said so much, but he still doesn't have any reaction. He's not like a man at all. He Bingrue couldn't help but say. Su Yingxue bit her lips and looked at Mo Yunjue with a complicated gaze. She also didn't expect such a thing to happen, and his reaction was also unbelievable. Compared to everyone's doubts, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen couldn't help but look at each other. Others didn't understand, but they understood very well. The reason why Mo Yunjue didn't have any reaction was because he didn't care about this matter at all. It also proved that he didn't have any feelings for Su Yingxue, but that didn't mean that he didn't have a temper. This was because Mo Yunjue's personality was different from others. When others got angry, they might argue, but Mo Yunjue wouldn't argue because he would kill the moment he made a move. It was just that the others didn't understand his temperament. He believed that after they understood, Zheng Haiping would regret offending him. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was thinking, Mo Yunjue's figure suddenly moved, like a bolt of lightning, quickly attacking Zheng Haiping. Bang! To be. Zheng Haiping was looking at everyone complacently, already treating Mo Yunjue as a coward. He didn't expect that Mo Yunjue would suddenly make things difficult for him, so he didn't have time to react and was sent flying. Seeing this, everyone present couldn't help but be stunned. No one had expected that Mo Yunjue, who hadn't said a word, would suddenly make a move and be so ruthless. Su Yingxue and He Bingrue looked at each other in dismay. A second ago, they thought that Mo Yunjue didn't have any temper, but in the next second, they felt that Mo Yunjue's temper wasn't small at all. Chapter 39:19. Ren Ziheng and Chu Jinfeng were also stunned on the spot. They looked at Mo Yunjue with a dull gaze. This reaction was completely different from his previous attitude, so much so that they couldn't react for a while. Shangguan Yingying was also stunned. She couldn't help but swallow her saliva as she looked at Mo Yunjue in astonishment. Yunjue, it's fine if you don't make a move, but once you make a move... Looking at Shangguan Yingying's stunned expression, Xiren chuckled and whispered in her ear, Yingying, you forgot that Yunjue is the young master of Shitian Pavilion. Don't you know how Shitian Pavilion usually acts? Shangguan Yingying immediately understood what was going on when she heard this. Shitian Pavilion had always been a swift and decisive force. They didn't talk much, but every time they did something, it was very shocking. It seemed that Mo Yunjue was indeed worthy of being the young master of Shitian Pavilion. His way of doing things was completely the same as his sex. Zheng Haiping was lying on the ground. He felt that his internal organs had almost shifted under that palm. His body was burning with pain, and even breathing became difficult. Just as he was about to sit up, Zheng Haiping spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, his face quickly became pale, and his spirit was dispirited to the extreme. He looked at Mo Yunjue in disbelief. Although he knew that Mo Yunjue had obtained the inheritance of the Demon Training Tower, in his opinion, Mo Yunjue's strength shouldn't be very strong. However, when the other party made a move like this, he knew that he had completely underestimated Mo Yunjue's strength. This kind of strength was definitely above the Starlight Realm. At least, he wasn't Mo Yunjue's opponent at all. Unfortunately, even if he knew this at this moment, it was too late. The intense pain in his body told him that he was seriously injured, and he couldn't even stand up. At this time, Mo Yunjue coldly glanced at Zheng Haiping and then said to Rinzime and the others, "Against this kind of trash, there's no need to waste your breath. It's just a waste of time." His handsome face was full of indifference, as if this matter had not attracted his attention at all, as if he had just casually dealt with an insignificant grasshopper. "We can go now." He had originally planned to ignore it, but Zheng Haiping was relentless and kept looking for trouble. Rinzime and the others couldn't stand it anymore. Since that was the case, he might as well directly solve this problem and get it done once and for all. Otherwise, there would be flies buzzing around his ears. Rinzime and the others couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichun. The two smiled faintly and said, "Since the matter has been resolved, then let's go." "All right." Shangguan Yingying nodded. "Now, there's no annoying guy chattering there." Just as everyone was preparing to leave, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly said to Su Yingxue and the others, "Yunjue indeed didn't have the intention to come to the training ground. It's just that we suddenly talked about it the night before, so he decided to come at the last minute. He's not someone who likes to lie." Mo Yunjue didn't like to explain, but she couldn't just let others pin this kind of name on Mo Yunjue's head. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Su Yingxue was slightly stunned, but immediately understood. The next moment, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't stay any longer and disappeared from Su Yingxue and the others' sight. Chapter 39:20. When Su Yingxue and the rest came to Zheng Haiping's side, they saw that Zheng Haiping's aura was extremely weak. It was obvious that he had suffered a severe injury. Noticing this, everyone's eyes couldn't help but be filled with shock. Mo Yunjue had only casually attacked, yet he was able to injure Zheng Haiping to such an extent. His abilities were simply too terrifying. However, the next scene was even more out of everyone's expectations. Not long after, Zheng Haiping actually stopped breathing and died. How could this be? Su Yingxue's eyes shone with disbelief. Mo Yunjue had only attacked once. With Zheng Haiping's abilities, even if it was a cultivator of the Starlight Realm or above, he would at most be injured. There was absolutely no possibility of him dying. However, Zheng Haiping had actually died. He Bingrue and the rest were also dumbfounded when they saw this scene. They were even in disbelief, wondering if they had seen wrongly. However, Zheng Haiping really did not make a sound. Zheng Haiping actually died just like that. He Bingrue was completely dumbfounded. That Mo Yunjue's attack was simply too ruthless, killing him in one strike. He didn't even give him a chance to live. The rest of the people were also in a daze. What Zheng Haiping had said previously was indeed overboard, and normal people would not be able to accept it. However, to kill him in one strike, this Mo Yunjue was indeed powerful. This newcomer Junior Mo is truly impressive. His attack was swift and decisive, not giving anyone a chance to regret. Zheng Haiping's death is truly unjust. This is too unbelievable. From what I see, this Junior Mo is also not someone to be trifled with. It's better to stay away from him in the future. Everyone sighed. As expected, those who were with Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest were all abnormal. Even though he was just a newcomer, his abilities were already so strong. No wonder Master Long and the rest had used such high conditions to recruit him. At this moment, everyone understood that Mo Yunjue was someone who did not like to speak, but definitely could not be offended. Otherwise, the other party would not even give you a chance to explain and would immediately take your life. Shui, this Mo Yunjue is too scary. He Bingrue couldn't help but hold Su Ingshue's hand. Killing the other party without a word, this method is simply terrifying. Previously, when Mo Yunjue didn't speak, she thought that Mo Yunjue didn't have any masculinity. Now, she knew how scary Mo Yunjue was. However, Su Ingshue's eyes were shining with admiration. Previously, when everyone thought that Mo Yunjue was a coward, she didn't believe them at all. From her point of view, Mo Yunjue had no reason to fear Zheng Haipeng. When Mo Yunjue made his move, she only felt that Mo Yunjue was too domineering. Not talking nonsense and directly attacking was the way a hero should act. At that moment, Su Ingshuo only felt her heart sprouting. When she thought of how Mo Yunjue attacked, she felt her heart thumping uncontrollably. When He Bingrue saw Su Ingshue's expression, she couldn't help but wave her hand in front of her eyes. Ingshue, what are you thinking about? Hearing this, Su Ingshuo came back to her senses. Her beautiful face blushed slightly as she shook her head. Nothing. Chapter 39:21. Su Ingshuo blushed. She felt that Mo Yunjue was the man of her dreams. He had such powerful strength and a swift and decisive style. He was the type she liked the most. That serious look was deeply imprinted in her heart. She felt that he was exceptionally handsome. Seeing Su Ingshuo like that, He Bingrue understood her thoughts and couldn't help but shake her head helplessly. Looking at your situation, it seems that you have really fallen for him. Before today, I might have only had a good impression of him, but after today's incident, I really like him. Su Ingshuo clasped her hands together, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Her mind was filled with Mo Yunjue's appearance, and she felt that her life was suddenly filled with brilliance. Her entire person was immersed in pink happiness. This Mo Yunjue doesn't look like someone easy to deal with. He was so ruthless the moment he made a move. He's definitely a ruthless character, He Bingrue couldn't help but say. Su Ingshuo nodded. I know what you're saying, but I feel that it's precisely because of his appearance that he's exceptionally charming. You're right. He's indeed more manly than ordinary men. After thinking for a moment, He Bingrue agreed with Su Ingshue's opinion. After all, compared to Zheng Haipeng, who only knew how to talk big, Mo Yunjue's way of doing things was much more domineering. In my opinion, this Mo Yunjue is also a person of few words, so there must be very few women who can get close to him. Bailey Hongzhuang and Shangwan Yingying already have lovers, and Rin Zimei is now with Chu Jinfeng. As such, Mo Yunjue is completely alone. Since you like him, you have to seize the opportunity. There are many women in Penglai Palace who admire him, He Bingrue said. Su Ingshuo nodded with a smile. I won't give up. After Bailey Hongzhuang and her group left Su Ingshue's group, they continued to move forward. I didn't expect Zheng Haipeng to be so narrow-minded. He deserves to be taught a lesson today. It's just that this fellow usually has a big mouth. I don't know if he will spread it around later. Rin Zimei frowned. She had a certain understanding of Zheng Haipeng. This guy had always been a blabbermouth. Many things would change completely once they reach his mouth. This time, Mo Yunjue had seriously injured him. Whether it was because of his face or other reasons, he would not let this matter go so easily. Zheng Haipeng has already learned his lesson. I believe that he won't have the guts in the future. Otherwise, if Yunju attacks again, wouldn't his injuries be even more serious? Chu Jinfeng said with a smile. However, what Mo Yunjue said next on them. You don't have to worry about that, because he won't be able to speak in the future. As soon as Mo Yunjue said this, Ren Zimei and the others were stunned. For a moment, they couldn't understand the true meaning behind his words. Junior brother Mo, according to what you said, could be that Zheng Haiping. Ren Ziheng couldn't help but say, "That's right. He's already a dead man." Mo Yunjue's expression was indifferent and cold, as if he was talking about something insignificant. Gulp. Chu Jinfeng swallowed his saliva and looked at Mo Yunjue in a daze. Chapter 39:22. Looking at the stunned expressions of Ren Ziheng and the others, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but say, "This is Yunjue's usual style. You'll get used to it." As soon as these words were spoken, Ren Ziheng and the others could not help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang, then looked at Mo Yunjue, and then nodded their heads. They had also seen through it. Yunjue rarely speaks and has always directly taken action to solve the problem. Chu Jinfeng could not help but cup his hands towards Mo Yunjue. "Junior brother Mo, I admire you, I admire you." Noticing Chu Jinfeng's look of disbelief, Mo Yunjue could not help but explain, "That kind of guy is destined to be an opponent who likes to find trouble. Instead of wasting time, it's better to get it done once and for all. I've never liked trouble." Junior brother Mo is right. This is indeed a good way to get it done once and for all. Chu Jinfeng praised. Mo Yunjue was really a straightforward person. When he explained this reason, he could not refute it at all. After continuing to move forward for a while, Ren Ziheng finally said, "Let's stop here. If we continue to go deeper, the skeleton army will be even larger. Let's see if we can deal with it first, then we'll decide whether to continue or not." Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others nodded. Okay. Immediately after, everyone rested here. After rushing for a day, they had naturally consumed some energy. At night, they had to be on guard against the skeleton army that could appear at any time. Naturally, they had to adjust themselves to their best condition to be able to deal with it better. What's more, after arriving here, the probability of encountering the skeleton army would greatly increase. Whether they would be so lucky again, even they themselves were not sure. The curtain of night slowly fell, and the entire training ground was pitch black. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were all gathered together, cautiously paying attention to their surroundings, on guard against the skeleton army that could appear at any time. The surroundings were quiet, and not the slightest sound could be heard. It was so quiet that it was somewhat frightening. This person waited quietly and did not hear any movement for a long time. Just as everyone was thinking about whether their luck would be so good today, suddenly, a sound attracted everyone's attention. "Kacha! Crack!" Hearing these soft sounds, Ren Ziheng and the others couldn't help but look at each other, and a trace of seriousness quickly appeared on their faces. The skeleton army is about to appear. Hearing Ren Ziheng's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others immediately became serious. Every time an army of skeletons appeared, it was extremely terrifying. They had to be careful when dealing with it. As the sound grew louder and louder, everyone realized that the sound came from behind them. It was still some distance away from them. The skeleton army is here? Mo Yunjue raised his eyebrows. His eyes were filled with curiosity. He had heard about this skeleton army long ago. It was only today that he had the opportunity to see it with his own eyes. Bewitching nodded. "They're already here. Although there's still some distance away from us, it won't be long before they reach us. We have to be alert and be careful. I can only hope that this skeleton army comes from one direction and will not appear from other directions. Otherwise, if we are surrounded like last time, the situation will be terrible." Chu Jinfeng sighed. Chapter 39:23. Let's go over and take a look. Bewitching's eyes glinted as he spoke in a deep voice. Hearing this, everyone nodded and moved together, heading towards the direction of the skeleton's voice. However, when they were halfway there, they suddenly heard someone calling for help. "Help! Is there anyone? Save me." Hearing this voice, everyone looked at each other. It seemed that someone had already met the skeleton army before them. Based on the cry for help, the other party's ability was obviously not as strong as the skeleton army. They might have already been surrounded by the skeleton army and were in a difficult situation. "Someone is in danger. let's go and take a look. Renzime's face turned grave as she quickly spoke. The next moment, everyone increased their speed and rushed forward. However, when they saw the scene in front of them, they felt helpless. I didn't expect it to be Su Yingxue and the others. This is really not an ordinary coincidence. Bailey Hongzhuang's black phoenix eyes flashed with a touch of surprise, and she couldn't help but sigh. Everyone felt helpless. Today, they had purposely changed directions to separate from Su Yingxue and the rest. Who would have thought that they would still meet in the end? However, it was a pity that they did not know that Su Yingxue had done all of this on purpose. Ever since Su Yingxue confirmed her feelings, she wanted to catch up with Mo Yunjue and the rest. Even though Mo Yunjue did not have any feelings for her, as long as they met, they would still have some feelings for each other. At least, she was much better than the other girls who had never interacted with Mo Yunjue before. However, they did not expect Mo Yunjue and the rest to be so fast. They had already caught up with them at their fastest speed, but they still could not catch up. When night fell, they could only find a random place to rest. However, their luck was not very good. They had only stopped to rest at the same spot and coincidentally met the skeleton army. Furthermore, the skeleton army appeared directly under their feet, giving them no time to react. A few cultivators had already fallen. This kind of situation was what cultivators fear the most. Before they could react, they were surrounded. Su Yingxue and He Bingrue's speed was not bad, and they happened to be standing at the periphery of the pit, so they didn't suffer any serious injuries. However, the speed at which these skeletons appeared was simply too fast. Even if they tried their best to escape, they were still unable to fight back. Thus, they could only shout for help. They could only hope that Mo Yunjue and the others weren't too far away and could hear their cries for help. Yingxue, what should we do? He Bingrue's expression was extremely ugly. She didn't think that their luck would be so bad today. If they couldn't find any reinforcements, it was very likely that they would be completely wiped out again. Su Yingxue shook her head, a hint of panic on her face. I don't know. We can only try our best to escape with everyone. Everyone run. This time, the range of the skeleton army is very scary. I'm afraid that there will be more liches. If we don't leave now, we won't have another chance later. In the team, a rather experienced cultivator hurriedly shouted out. Chapter 39-24. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest looked at Su Yingxue and the rest who were escaping at full speed. Even though they had already used their fastest speed, the skeleton army was like a swarm of locusts coming out from the ground endlessly. Even though their movements didn't seem fast, they were actually very fast. If the situation continued to develop, the possibility of Su Yingxue and the rest escaping wasn't high. Su Yingxue and the rest are really unlucky. The place where they were resting just happened to be where the hole appeared. In such a short period of time, only 6 out of 10 people are left. Renzime couldn't help but lament. Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest observed the situation in front of them silently. From what they could see, there was only one hole for the time being. Even though there were quite a number of skeletons, the situation was definitely much better than what they had encountered previously. So this is the skeleton army. Mo Yunjue stared at the numerous skeletons that had appeared in front of him. It was as though the end of the world had arrived, and everything in front of him was darkness. The eerie white skeletons walked in the darkness, giving off cracking sounds. Everywhere they passed by, not even a blade of grass grew, and not a single living thing was left behind. The situation was indeed as described by Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest, making them tremble in fear. However, only after witnessing the situation with their own eyes would they understand how shocking it was. Deep Baicha nodded. The abilities of these skeletons are very strong. Luckily, there are many cultivators on Penglai Island blocking them. Otherwise, if they were to go to the outside world, the consequences would be unimaginable. Every skeleton had a cultivation above the purple realm, and cultivators above the purple realm in the outside world were already rare existences. If these skeletons were to appear in the outside world, it would definitely be a disaster. Hearing that, Emo Yunjue's gaze turned grave, and he instantly understood the meaning behind Bewitching's words. Indeed, compared to these dead things, the cultivators in the outside world can't even withstand a single blow. Should we go and help? Renzime couldn't help but ask. If it was any other cultivator, they would have gone to help at the first moment, but they hadn't expected it to be Su Yingxue and the rest. This would depend on Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest. At this moment, Su Yingxue and the rest who were running for their lives noticed Bailey Hongzhuang and her group standing far away and instantly saw hope. Help! He Bingrue hurriedly shouted. Junior brother Emo, help us. Su Yingxue also said. Renzime subconsciously looked at Emo Yunjue. She still needed to see what Emo Yunjue was thinking. Compared to Su Yingxue's fervent gaze, Emo Yunjue's face was filled with coldness. As the young master of the Heaven Slaughter Pavilion, it was normal for him to kill people, but to save people, he would never have such an idea. From the beginning to the end, there was only one exception to the idea of saving people, and that was Bailey Hongzhuang beside him. Other than that, the life and death of others were the same to him. After noticing Emo Yunjue's expression, Renzime couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Junior Brother Mo's personality was really cold. He didn't even care when a beauty threw herself at him. She really admired his personality. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.